Did you know the Poltergeist movie was filmed using real human corpses? This disturbing fact has led many to wonder if the entire series is cursed. In this video, I'll reveal the shocking true stories behind the mysterious and tragic deaths of the Poltergeist cast and crew. Stay tuned as we uncover the secrets of Hollywood's most notorious haunted film set. After a horror movie was filmed using real human corpses as props, it became heavily speculated that this led to the entire series being cursed. This wasn't due to problems with production or anything on that level. It was due to a large number of premature deaths that the actors on set would come to face. The Poltergeist movie, directed by Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper, was released back in 1982. The movie was a major success, both profit-wise and critically. It was one of the top movies that year, and ever since, it has been remembered as one of the most classic horror movies of the 80s. It was even so popular that it went on to spawn several sequels in the coming years. The movie is mainly about a family moving into a new, nice suburban home that turns out to be haunted by an evil ghost that takes a concerning interest in their youngest daughter. The family, the Freelings, have 3 kids, 16-year-old Dana, 8-year-old Robbie, and 5-year-old Carol Ann. The movie really begins when Carol Ann begins talking to the family's TV one night, as it seemingly played nothing but static. One night, they got hit with a pretty intense thunderstorm. During the storm, the creepy tree in their backyard comes to life and grabs Robbie through the bedroom window, pulling him outside and attempting to eat him. While the family is distracted trying to save him, Carol Ann gets sucked into a portal in the closet. The family manages to save Robbie before the tree gets taken away by a tornado, but now they're left looking for Carol Ann. The family hires a medium to come check the house out. She confirms that the place is indeed very haunted. She says that the spirits want Carol Ann's life force, so her mother tries going through the portal in the closet. She saves Caroline as they drop from the ceiling and onto the floor. However, while it all seems over, the main ghost then ambushes the family once again, pulling Diane out into the backyard during heavy rain. She falls into the swimming pool. This is where a bunch of coffins and skeletons float up to the surface, making for what is commonly considered to be the most horrifying part of the whole movie. Afterwards, the whole family is able to escape by jumping into their car and speeding off. As they leave, the entire house is crushed and absorbed into the portal. It's due to the scene of the skeletons in the swimming pool that many people feel this movie was doomed to be cursed. As it turns out, all of the skeletons used in the movie were real human skeletons. It was actually something that was done in Hollywood fairly regularly at the time, with these actual medical skeletons being cheaper than realistic-looking plastic fake ones. Knowing that only made the movie just that much more intense for the fans, especially when it comes to that scene of the movie. In fact, the actress who played Diane didn't even know that the skeletons were real until long after she had finished the shot. Fans have long since theorized that because of the amount of real dead bodies used in that scene, and the possibly angry spirits attached to them, this film has become cursed. And surprisingly, there is a lot to back that up, with several cast and crew members either dying, growing incredibly ill, or nearly escaping deaths in the years after the film's release. The case of Dominique Dunne is the most well-known when it comes to the Poltergeist Curse. Dominique was the actress who played the teenage daughter Dana in the first film. While her career in Hollywood was really taking off, she was having trouble behind the scenes. Dominique met her boyfriend at the time, John Thomas Sweeney, who was a chef at a party in 1981. They dated for a few weeks, and after that short time, decided to move into a house together in West Hollywood. However, Dominique soon came to realize that this was a bad play. John was jealous, possessive, and very often angry. they fought virtually all the time, leading to John eventually coming to beat Dominique over and over just a short period of time. During one argument, he pulled a full handful of hair off of her head by the roots. Terrified, Dominique fled to her mother's house. That's when John showed up and started slamming his fist down on all of the doors and windows. The mother threatened to call the police, leading to him leaving. However, only a few days later, Dominique decided to move back in with him. It wasn't long before the two got into another argument, this time with John grabbing her by the throat, slamming her to the ground, and attempting to strangle her. A friend was even staying with them at the time, and hearing the commotion, ran into the room to see what was happening. John admitted that he had tried to kill her, but later denied this and simply asked Dominique to come back to bed. She pretended that she would, but snuck out the window instead. Once she started her car and tried to leave, John hopped onto the hood of the car as she took off. Dominique slowed down just enough to let John off of the car before speeding off again. Once again, she stayed with her mom and couch surfed around her friends' places for a while. However, this time, she decided to break up with John for good. He moved out, and she changed the locks. A few weeks later, Dominique was at home with an actor who was helping her work on rehearsing some lines for an upcoming miniseries that they were both working on, a television series called Vi. John attempted to call Dominique at around that time, leading to her hanging up on him. But then, 10 minutes later, he showed up at the house, demanding to speak with her. At first, she only spoke with him through the door, but eventually she did go outside to see what he had to say, as her co-worker remained inside. Dominique's friend soon heard smacking sounds, screams, and a slam. He called 911, but the police on the other line told him that they were out of their jurisdiction, leading to a lot of wasted time as he tried to figure out who to call. He then called his friend and said that if he turned up dead, John Sweeney was the killer. He fled the home through the back door, and when he came around to his car in the front yard, came to see John kneeling over Dominique in some nearby bushes. John told him himself that he should call the police. The police came out to see John in the driveway with his hands up. He told them frankly, "I killed my girlfriend, and I tried to kill myself." He said that the two had already argued, but he couldn't remember what they fought about, saying that he lost his memory until he came to on top of her. Dominique was rushed out to the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles and placed on life support. When it was found that she had no brain activity due to oxygen deprivation, the decision was made to pull the plug. John Sweeney was immediately arrested and charged with attempted murder, but after that, those charges were upgraded to full-on first-degree murder. He was later hit with another charge of assault with intent to do great bodily harm when he admitted to the incident in which he strangled her on the floor of their home, leading to her showing up to work the next day with bruises all over her face and body. According to John, though, she got these accidentally when he tried to prevent her from leaving during the trial. John came to the stand to defend himself. He said that he didn't go to Dominique's house with the intention of killing her at all. He said that they had actually gotten back together and that he was planning to move back in, adding that they were actually going to get married and have kids. He said that he simply exploded when she abruptly changed her mind about the whole thing, saying that she admitted to maliciously leading him on. He then said that he even attempted to revive her by having her walk around. Then she fell to the ground and he gave her CPR, leading to her vomiting. He said that he also vomited out of sheer nerves and ran right into the house to gulp down 2 bottles of pills in order to end himself. He said that he then went back into the driveway and laid down beside her, hoping to die with her. And that's when the police showed up. It wasn't really all that hard to see that this was nothing but a bunch of lies. Dominique's family was able to confirm that she had no plans whatsoever of getting back together with him. In fact, that's likely what set him off in the first place. Not only did the police confirm that there was no evidence that John had taken any sort of pills at all, he wasn't lying on the ground with Dominique when they got there. He was standing up just perfectly fine and healthy. In fact, they said he was actually pretty calm and collected. The coroner even added that this wasn't a quick burst of fury, that Dominique had actually been choked for at least 3 minutes straight. The sheriff's deputy even testified that John told him, "Man, I blew it. I killed her. I didn't think I choked her that hard, but I don't know. I just kept on choking her. I lost my temper, and I blew it." Again, one of John's ex-girlfriends was called to the stand and asked to testify as well. She said that during their relationship, he had assaulted her over 10 times, 2 of those times leading to full-on hospitalization. She ended up with a perforated eardrum, a collapsed lung, and a broken nose from him. Hearing this, John flew into another rage, jumping from his seat and running towards her. 2 best friends and 4 guards tackled him to the ground. This really didn't help his case at all. He was handcuffed to his chair and began to cry. Shockingly, when his attorney asked the judge to rule this testimony inadmissible, saying that it would cause prejudice, the judge actually agreed. The jury wouldn't hear about John's history of such abuse as a result. After the jury debated for 8 days, they acquitted John of second-degree murder. Instead, he was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter. The whole thing had been successfully argued to be a simple crime of passion. John was sentenced to 6 years in prison for the manslaughter, the maximum, and 6 more months for the previous assault. Dominique's family was outraged when the judge said that justice had been reached. Her father yelled out, "Not for our family, Judge Katz!" After only 3.5 years in prison, John was released on parole. He ended up getting hired again as a chef at an upscale restaurant in Santa Monica. After Dominique's family found him, they went out to his restaurant and handed out flyers to customers reading, "The food you will eat tonight was cooked by the hands that killed Dominique Dunne." John got angry, quit his job, and ran off. A few years later, Dominique's father was contacted by a doctor living out in Florida who had read an article about her death. The doctor then stated that his daughter had been dating a man who was named John Sweeney, a chef who appeared to look just like the guy. Together, the two were able to confirm that it was without a doubt the same guy. Dominique's brother then contacted the woman and told her about her new boyfriend's criminal history. John then accused Dominique's family of harassing him, changed his name, and went on to flee Florida. John later moved to the Pacific Northwest and changed his name to John Mora, continuing to work as a chef. After this, it isn't quite known where he ended up, but it's assumed that he's alive, well, and probably free. Richard Lawson was an actor that played the character named Ryan in the film. A few years after filming, he was getting a flight out of LaGuardia in New York and heading out to Cleveland, Ohio. This was U.S. Air Flight 405, a flight that was doomed to become infamous. When the flight took off, it crashed shortly after liftoff due to weather-related problems. While the airplane had begun to ascend, it veered off course and hit several objects on the ground, leading into it crashing into the Flushing Bay, just off of the runway. Of the 51 people on board, 27 were killed, including the captain himself and a member of the cabin crew. Luckily, Richard Lawson was among the few people who had survived, but this whole ordeal didn't do anything to help the idea that the Poltergeist franchise was cursed. Lou Perryman was the actor who played the character named Pugsley in the film. Years later, he was at his home in Austin, Texas, when he came across a man named Christopher Tatum in his yard. Christopher Tatum had previously been sent to prison on charges of burglary of a habitation and robbery. Having just recently been released, he was found to be mentally ill, both suffering from a severe case of bipolar disorder and for having a dependent on 3 different illicit drugs at once. After being in prison for 3 years, he was released. He soon completely went off of his medications, thinking that they weren't helping him, and began drinking heavily. His mother tried to get him admitted into a hospital, but found that they couldn't afford it. The very next day, Christopher ended up attacking his mom's ex-boyfriend with some garden shears and a fireplace poker, leaving the guy with a cracked skull. The two had a history of arguing, and things weren't helped by the fact that Christopher had gone right back to using drugs as soon as he got out of prison. He then fled that scene. This led to Christopher ending up in Lou's driveway, about 2 miles from his house. The two began a conversation with Christopher, later saying that this was in hopes of finding a way to steal his car. Shortly after, Lou went back inside and sat at his computer, feeling nothing was amiss. That was until Christopher suddenly appeared and hit him with an axe more than 10 times. Christopher then indeed stole Lou's car, driving it out to a park where he spent the night. When a sheriff's deputy approached him, he flat out admitted that the car was indeed stolen, and he had killed the man he stole it from. Needless to say, he was arrested on the spot. After fully confessing to the crime and pleading guilty, Christopher was sentenced to life in prison. On top of that, he was given 20 extra years for the assault on his mom's boyfriend. Even with Dominique Dunne's death, the Poltergeist franchise was too big not to continue. In the beginning, she was planning to go off to college during the second film, but still have a few appearances. Needless to say, those appearances were scrapped, with the movie simply saying that she had moved. The second movie, set 1 year after the first, starts with the original home's land being excavated, revealing an old cemetery and a mysterious cave. The medium from the first film informs her friend, a Native American shaman who investigates the cave and finds that the spirit of Reverend Cain, an insane cult leader preacher, still lingers there. It turns out that he was the evil ghost from the first movie. Now that he's free, he's going after Carol Ann again, and the shaman needs to go save her. The villain to Reverend Cain was played by an actor named Julian Beck. Many people found his portrayal terrifying and his appearance creepy, giving him a bit of a cult following. Little did anyone know, though, his emaciated appearance was due to the fact that he was nearing the end of his life. As it turns out, he had been diagnosed with stomach cancer and was still fighting it when production began. While he was hoping to beat the cancer, it only got worse as filming continued. It seems that he basically gave up on beating the disease, instead hoping to finish what would be his final job as an actor. Luckily, he was just barely able to do that, dying right after his filming wrapped up. Given that the movie was still months away from being released, some of his lines had to be re-recorded by a sound-alike voice actor, but still, he completed the majority of the film before he passed. Many people out there contribute his death to the Poltergeist Curse, as he had been living with the disease for several years, before succumbing to it immediately upon wrapping up filming. Heather Michelle O'Rourke, the child actress who played Carol Ann in all 3 Poltergeist films, died tragically in 1988 at the age of 12. During the filming of the 3rd movie, O'Rourke was diagnosed with giardiasis and Crohn's disease, and cortisone injections caused her face to swell, making her self-conscious. After filming wrapped, she appeared to be in remission, but a few months later, she collapsed at home. While being rushed to the hospital, she suffered a heart attack. Doctors discovered she had intestinal stenosis and performed emergency surgery. She had another heart attack shortly after and died. Her death was ruled to be from congenital intestinal stenosis, exacerbated by septic shock. The film's ending was reshot using a stand-in for O'Rourke, but the movie was a critical and financial failure upon its release. These days, Poltergeist may very well be known more for the curse surrounding the films than the actual movies themselves. After so many of the actors who starred in the series died prematurely, many of them in a very violent or tragic fashion, it came hard to ignore the notion that there was something up with these movies. Whether it really was due to the use of real skeletons in the first film or simply a massive coincidence is still up for debate. In 2015, a remake of the first movie was released, one that was yet another massive flop. That might just be due to the curse as well. Time will tell if anyone who worked on this project will come to meet an early end similar to their predecessors. Hopefully, if it does exist, the curse has been lifted after all this time. We'll just have to wait and see.